All right. So, continuing from where we left in the last class, right? We were talking about table space management, where we saw. Let me actually review everything. Where we saw what exactly table spaces are. Table spaces are a group of it's like a virtual logical container where we have data files. Yeah, the cylinders are the data files, and the objects which we have, those are in the data files. Objects might be tables, indexes, views, all the materialized views. All those are objects in a database. So there is a limit on the number of data files which can be added in the database, which is set by the parameter db underscore files in the parameter file of the database. By default, this parameter is set to 200. You can increase that, but if you increase that one, you have to change. You have to restart the database. How to create a table space? This is how we create a table space. This is a SQL plus command, create table space name, data file, the location of the data file where you want it to create, and the size of the data file. So the maximum size of data file for 8 kilobyte of block size of database would be 32 GB. It will you don't need to remember all those statistics. When if you are giving a higher size, database will clearly say you that you are giving higher size, and you can try a smaller size, but it will not create anything until that command completes successfully. These are the steps to renaming of data files, relocating of data files. The steps remain same whichever version you're doing. There might be few changes, slight changes, but again, if some command is not working, which you have, you can try to search for specific command for that particular version of the database. Like our version of database is 2LC. If I want to search for something for 2LC, what I would do is um, 12c database add relocate data file. So you'll find few forums which can help you out with the exact steps. So these forums, this is specific to 12c. If you don't have a specific to 12c and you have something for 11g, then you can try out that commands. It should work. Or else if it errors out, try to research on that error and come up with the steps. It is very less likely that the steps might differ, but most of the times you have the same steps for all this things which you have to do. So relocating data files, dropping of data files, you can drop a data file, you can make a data file offline and online. These are the types of table spaces which are created. Basically, big file table space. This is for table spaces in which you want to store huge amount of data. When I say huge amount of data, you can go up to 128 terabytes of data in one table space. Then after this, after big file table space, the next, how do we create a big file table space? This is create, this is the keyword, big file table space name, data file, and the size of the data file which you are creating. Okay, and the other kind of table space is a system table space. System table space is basically a table space which is created when your database is created. All the database related information is stored in the system table space, and this was created long back in release 9.9, and eventually Oracle figured out that there's a lot of data being dumped into this table space, and that is causing delays and performance issues at the database level. So they created another table space which is called as a sysox table space, which is basically stands for system auxiliary. It's an auxiliary for the system table space. Okay, this also holds some important information for the database to operate. Undo table spaces has undo information. We'll review this in the next chapter. We have a specific chapter for that. Then temporary table spaces for temporary operations like sorting operations, or you want to create temporary tables which is used intermediately. not for a permanent purpose, then this temporary table space will be used. Like in table spaces, normal table spaces, we have data files. In temporary table spaces, we have temp files. Same concept, same way of adding, just the keyword changes. How do you create a temporary table space? Create temporary table space. This is the keyword temporary, and rest of the things remain same. Here, in place of data file, you put temp file. Okay, you can add temp files, you can drop temp files. Okay. By default, temporary your temporary table space should be of type temporary. Your database can run without a temporary table space, but the demerit of that one is your database will start using the system table space in place of temporary table space, which might cause more harm to your database. These are the views which you can use to check information about temp table space. Again, like data files can be made online offline, table space can be made online offline. If there is some issue with the specific table space which needs to be fixed, instead of bringing down the whole database, we can just bring down the table space and fix the issue and bring it back online. There are different ways of bringing back a table space offline: normal, temporary, and immediate. We saw what are the options for this one. And how do we bring it online? This is the command: alter table space name online. Okay, this is where we stopped yesterday. So read only table spaces. Read only table spaces are table spaces which can be used to store some information which is specific to uh, where changes might not happen, right? Like for example, any company's orders table, which is probably 2 3 years old orders, you can create that as a read only table space. Now what is the other benefit of read only table space? Why not just create a read write table space and let it stay there? Why you want to create a read only table space? So with the read only table spaces, what happens is you can transport that data between databases without any much trouble, because it is read only, the changes do not happen, and the data can be transferred without any trouble. If you want to move the data or copy the data from a production database to a development database to do some development activities, or to a testing database to do some testing activities, you can move that without any trouble. Okay, you don't need to worry about archive log files for recovery and all those stuff, because this is only read only. How can you make a table space read only? Alter table space name read only. This is okay. You cannot make system table space, undo table space on read only. They have to be online all the time. You can convert a read only table space into a read write table space using this command: alter table space name read write. You won't do this read only read write like in a day-to-day basis. Probably there is one requirement which needs the table space to be read only, then you might do that one and just forget about it, right? So you won't keep on toggling this from read only to read write and read write to read only. No, that will not happen. Okay, say for example you created a temporary table space, and this slide should have been earlier. Yeah, say you created a temporary table space, and application team said that we need a temporary table space for some temporary purpose, which where more data is generated, or probably their queries are failing and the error clearly says that there was no enough space in the temporary table space to create some object. In that case, they might come back to you, or they might directly ask you, why is my query failing? You check the alert log, you figure out the error, and you try to understand the error and tell them like temporary table space is limited, there is no extra space for your query to complete. Now they will say, can you add extra space? So we don't know how much extra space to add. You add it 10 GB, 20 GB, but still if it's not helping, then you have to increase it to say 100 GB. Now 100 GB is a big space, right? So once you increase, their query completes fine. Now they are happy, everything is done. And after that, if you want to reduce it, you can shrink the table space. So how to shrink the table space? Alter table space name, shrink, and how much space to keep, right? Keep, here we are keeping 20 MB of space. That is how we shrink the temporary table space. You can even shrink the normal table space. Say for example, uh, um, instead of increasing the space of the system table space to 20 GB, by mistake you gave another extra zero and you made it 200 GB. Now 200 GB is very huge. You will not really use so much of space for a system table space. In that case, you can shrink that table space by 180 GB using the same kind of syntax. In that one, you just use the first one. Your second one is to shrink the temp file of the table space. You can even rename a table space. Say you named a table space something and later on business decided to have a different name of the table space. You can do that one. That is for normal table spaces. You cannot rename a system or sysocs table space. You can drop a table space if the table space is no more required, or that one particular part of application which was being developed was put on hold and they want to clean up everything. In those cases, you might end up dropping a table space. Or if there was some corruption in the table space and you want to clean up and you have a backup of the table space, then you can drop the table space. So how do we drop the table space? Drop table space name, including contents. So this including contents is basically whether you want to delete the data files along with the table space or not. There might be some scenarios where you want to keep the data file because data file has data, but you just want to get rid of the table space. Okay, so probably you want to get rid of the table space because you want to uh, recreate the table space, but on the uh, uh, same point, you don't want to get rid of the old data. So in that case, you might use the first one. Sorry, the first one. The second one will delete the data files also, and including contents and data files. So this is all what we did today, right? About the table space management. These are a few of the views which you can use to get the information of the table space, right? Now let us see if we can increase the size of our system table space. Yesterday when we saw, the system table space size was a little bit was at 99%, I guess. Let's get the query. Determine the size, usage of table space and all. Okay, so my system table space has used 814 MB, and total MB which was provided is 820. So I have just 6 MB free. So I want to increase the space. The at percentage wise, I have only 1% of space available. So I want to increase the size of this system table space. Now, what are the ways of increasing the size? One is let us try to find the data files. Okay, to find the data files, the view which you will use, dba underscore data underscore files. Okay, let us see what all data files are there in the system table space. So I'll say select file underscore name table space underscore name and bytes status from dba underscore data underscore files, where I don't want to list all the data files, so I'm specifying a condition where table space underscore name equal to system. So system table space is what is of my interest. So my system table space has only one data file. Now at this point, I have two options. One is I can increase the size of the system data file. Second is I can add another data file. Always a good DBA would try to increase the size of the existing data file until the upper limit is reached. And if this data file size is 32 GB, considering my database block size is 8 KB, so my block size is 8 KB, this one. So since 8 KB, so maximum I can go is 32 GB for one data file. That can keep on increasing. I mean, I can add multiple data files in the same table space, right? So what I will do is I'll resize this data file. So to resize the data file, let's try to find out resize table, resize data file, Oracle. I'm just trying to get everything from online just to show you that all the information is available online. So you don't need to really run behind by hiding the commands. Okay. So this is the command which I got from online. So this is what it says. So it says alter the database in which which data file we have to alter. This data file, this is our data file of interest. I copy the data file name, and you have to always put the data file name in single quotes. This data file resized to how much? So my size is 800 MB, right? 820 MB is what I have total MB. So I have to resize more than that one. So let's try to do a testing here. So I will say resize it to 500 MB, which is smaller than 820 MB. So let us say, what does it do? See, it says file contains used data beyond requested resize. So it is basically telling you cannot resize it to lower than 816 MB, 814 MB. So you have to give the value higher. Error is clear. This data file contains used data beyond requested resize value. This is a resize value. So it has data which is greater than 500 MB. So I cannot resize it to 500 MB. So I realized that, oh, I did a mistake. Instead of 900 MB, I put 500 MB. Now I try to run the same with the correct option. So now it says database altered. So it resized my data file to 900 MB. Now let us try to find out the size of this table space again. Now the total MB is 900 MB. Percentage free is 10%. Free MB is 86 MB is free. Right? So we had 820, we added 80 MB extra and made it free is now 86 MB. So that is how you increase the size. Now let us try to add a data file. Instead of say, assume that my data file size was already 32 GB and I want to add a new data file. So the syntax of adding a new data file is little bit different than resizing a data file. Always try to put everything in one line, that way it's easy. You are not adding up any spaces in between. So alter table space. So now you have to tell it specifically in which table space you want to add the data file and what would be the location and the name of the data file. So I have already system 01. I'll give 0 2. Okay, so let's try to give 0 1 and see what it says. I'll just give 15 MB because I don't have much space available on this test system. Okay, see, error, file already part of database. So basically it's telling that this file name is already there. It will never create a duplicate file name because it's gonna mess up your database. So you did a mistake. Now I say, oh, system 01 is already existing. Let me try with system 02. Okay, table space altered. Okay, now let us try to run the same query again and see if it shows me the new size. Okay, now free is changed from 86 to 101 because I added another 15 MB. And let's check the data files also. This query. Now it shows me two data files. One is system 01, system 02. So this is called as table space management. The frequency of times which you will do this one would be probably once in a month. And there is an option also while creating the table space which is called as auto extend on. So when you do a auto extend on, what exactly it does is it creates it once the space usage exceeds specific like if a space usage this percentage free, right, if it goes below 10%, automatically it will add another data file for you. That database will do it by yourself, but you have to tell it to to do the auto extend on. Let us see what is the auto extend on table space. So there are steps to convert a table space from non-auto extend to auto extend also. What are the steps? This one. So basically, so query to check if your table space is auto extend on. So see this, it just shows AUT, set pages 1000, lines 1000, sorry, set. So all my table spaces are auto extend on. This column basically gives us yes or no. Yes means it is auto extend on. So this database, if I wouldn't have even added extra space, once this system 01 would have reached 100%, automatically the database would have added another data file for me, right? So that is the auto extend on feature. So depending on how frequently the data file increase has to happen, probably a senior DB would have set auto extend on. Again, the demerit of auto extend on is it goes on using up the space for this file system and you will not get a hold of it, like how much the database is increasing. Here slash home is used as 52 dB. If I turn on auto extend, I keep on using the database, then this size will keep on increasing and you might one day you might see like this slash home is 90% full. Then you have to again contact storage people, try to get some extra space, give them explanation why extra space is required, all those hassle, right? So it's a give and take policy, the give and take kind of setup. If you want less work every week or every month, you can turn on auto extend, but you have to be careful that the space usage at file system level is not crossing higher limits. If you don't want that kind of work, you have to make sure the table spaces are not crossing 85-90%. So that is about the table space management. Do you have any questions? Mukta, any questions? So that was about the table space management. So there is another small chapter I wanted to complete today, which is uh, undo management. So we already studied few parts of undo management in the table space management. Just want to review this one. So like I told you yesterday, undo is what? It's basically the information of a block which was there before that block was changed. For example, if this is my data file and the data file had a block which had a number of 100, and there was a request which came from the application, and they wanted to change that uh, block value from 100 to 110. So this 110 is the current the new value, but what was the old value? That information will be stored in the undo table space. All that block level information will be copied from this current data file to your undo table space. Say let us say for example this is our undo. So before update happens, this gets copied to here, and then the update will happen to 110, right? So after once these changes are made permanent, then this entry is no more required. Technically this entry is no more required, but we kind of let it stay there. We don't delete it. We, in the sense, Oracle database does not delete it. It lets it stay there because that space has already been allocated, and if there is no use of that space for some other block, then it can stay there. So this will stay here for a guaranteed amount of time, which is specified by the parameter which is called as a undo underscore retention. So this is one of the parameter which is related to the undo table space. So this basically is in seconds, and this tells us like for how many seconds the data which is stored in the undo table space will be available for us, right? So you can increase this value also to something bigger than 900. 900 seconds is a default. So 900 seconds is what 10 15 minutes. So this is like 15 minutes of information will be there for guaranteed. After 15 minutes is reached, and if there is a requirement of a block in the undo table space, then that particular entry which is eligible for rewriting after 15 minutes, that guy will be overwritten, right? Say for example there was another entry over here, and there was a request to change this one. Now we have to take a backup of this one, and rest of all is not eligible for deletion. So what it will do is, since this block is eligible for deletion, it will rewrite this block, and it will make a changes of this one to 100 as required. Okay, so how does it track back to this block? That one particular block is related to this block. That is all happens in the headers of the data file, right? So whatever is recorded in header of this undo data file, and whatever happens in this whatever numbers are there in the header of this data file, that is all kind of written in the background, and everything is written in a machine language which database understands, so we don't need to worry about that. For us, only important thing to remember is the copy of the block which was there before it was changed is backed up into the undo table space. That is our main important part. So undo table space has three parameters which it has a relation with. When I do show parameter undo, these three parameters are related to undo. First one is undo management. So when I say undo management as auto, basically what it is telling is whatever this mechanism happened, right, taking a backup of the undo file, that is managed automatically, and cleaning of the undo, expiring of the entries, all this is happening automatically. So that is auto. This can be set to manual also, but we don't do much when this is set to manual. There are when you want to change something in the undo table space, then you set this to manual, or else it is always auto. Second one is undo retention. That is basically how many seconds you want the data to stay in the undo table space without getting deleted. Third one is called as undo table space. So what is your undo table space which is being used in the database is the point over here. So you can create two undo table spaces, but at any point of time only one undo table space will be used. If you have undo tbs1 and undo tbs2, but whatever value is mentioned for this parameter undo underscore table space, only that table space will be used by the database. The undo tbs2 will just stay there without any use. So again, this might be an interview question. I have three undo table spaces. How do I find out which undo table space is being used? You just come here, show parameter undo, and whatever undo table space is being shown here, that is the undo table space we are using. Simple answer, but they try to confuse you with giving you multiple options for this question. Okay, these three parameters are related to undo. How do we create undo table space? Create undo table space, undo table space name, data file, and the size of undo table space. Okay, here we are doing auto extend off. For undo table space, always keep auto extend off, because undo size, if keeps on increasing, you might end up having a huge undo table space without you even knowing that one. Application team will be running queries which runs for hours together. If you don't put a limit on this one, they will run huge queries. They will be happy that my queries, all big queries are running fine, but your undo table space is growing, eating up all your space which you had reserved for your normal database, normal other table spaces. So always undo table space auto extend off. If you want to add a data file to undo table space, you can do it using this syntax: alter table space name, add data file, same. So instead of system table space like I did, here we are putting undo table space. Simple. If you want to use a second undo table space instead of the first one, say for example, for some reason that undo table space one got corrupted, and we have to bring up the database, and it is kind of giving us trouble that I cannot use undo table space one. In that case, you create another undo table space with undo tbs2, and change this parameter alter system set undo underscore table space to 2, and then start the database. It will start using this undo table space. If you want to drop that old undo table space which was corrupted, you can drop that once database comes up, drop table space undo tbs1. So that is how you handle the undo management. These are few of the views which will give you information about undo table space. You can check this. Each and every view, all you need to do is describe and the view name v dollar undo stat. Sorry, v dollar undo stat. So this will give all the column names. If you don't want to do this, just go to Google and search for that view. V dollar undo stat Oracle. So this one is your information. So this gives the what is the column name and what exactly information it has. So you can read about this one just to understanding better. You won't be using all of these columns. Till now, I have not even used undo stat even once. Just that I wanted to show you what all views have information related to that one. You never know when you will end up using any view. So just to put it in your PPT. It will be here and you can travel anytime. So that is the information about undo. Any questions on the undo table space?
No.